All right, this meeting now comes to order. It is now 6 p.m. and it's January the 13th, 2026. Welcome to the monthly regular board meeting. Catherine, can you lead us in prayer?
I will. Let us bow our heads. Father, we thank you for this day.
Thank you.
We thank you for allowing us to come together one more time. God, as we start this new year, I ask that you look over each and every one of us. Look over the students of Hope County and surrounding counties. Father God, we put everything in your hands. Let everything be done in decent and order. Look over us, push us to do better. In Jesus Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
Chairman, I would like to make an amendment to the agenda.
Okay.
Down at the action items, want to table that to next month.
Okay.
The Hope County High School restaurant renovation.
Can I get a second?
Can you have a question?
Sure.
Is there a reason?
It's a reason because, Dr. Hunt didn't get a chance to go to the county commissioners to ask for extra time. And possibly more money because it's over the bid.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, there's a motion on the floor to table till next month, the Hope County High School restroom restoration RFP. Those in favor?
I don't have a second yet.
Who's
I
that?
thought I seconded.
Oh, you did? Sorry, I didn't hear you, Rosa. My bad.
Where we at?
Ask for the vote. Sorry about
Those
that.
against? Okay. All right, Chair's report. The only thing I gotta say is, I'm so glad we're on 2026. And I just wanna tell the superintendent and his staff, the teachers, and everybody that helps this district move forward, and make this meeting happen every month, and any other meeting that the board requires the superintendent to do for us. I don't think we say enough how much we appreciate all the work you do. That's really all I have to say, because I don't think we tell you enough. I'm not supposed to be board member month appreciation, but I think the ones that need to be appreciated is everybody that makes that works behind the scene to make everything happen for the school district to move as a smooth machine. Having said that, I would like to open up the floor to any and all board members if they want to put anything out. In all fairness, so everybody can have a say so on whatever you want to say. We'll say it with 5 minutes each person. If you want to say.
Chairman Kessler, thank you for this opportunity. I do want to thank you for allowing us to say something. In December, I had the opportunity to go to West Hope Elementary School twice. One of the events was the Beta Club induction, and it was just so wonderful. They had a guest speaker, Mr. Bridges, I think. He spoke so well to those kids, and they was like focused in on everything that he was saying. And then, Lord, that Christmas concert that they have every year from pre-K to 5th grade, the gymnasium was just full of parents. And I even emailed the next day to the coordinators to tell them how they did such an awesome job. And it was so big, I feel like if it continued to be that way, they might have to find another facility to have it in, because it's really big. And I thank the Lord that I was able to experience that. My grandson was in pre-K, that's how he talked about all the way up until the time they did their performance. So I thought that was really good. The kids was on point, the teachers, the staff, everybody was there. I think Dr. Spells was there that night as well. We just had a good time. And I also want to add, Chairman Castellon, in 2026, I pray that this be a better year for our board. We got so much to offer to our kids, to the staff, to the district, and our kids deserve that. So they deserve us at the table being big people. So I'm thankful for this opportunity. I'm ready to run 2026. And and do the best that we can and move this district forward. Thank you.
That's what I'm talking about. Anybody else? Let's say anything?
I'll give kudos to Rockfish Oak Elementary School. They had, I'm sure all of the elementary schools had great Christmas programs. And of course, all of us, we can't go to every one of them, but we can go to a few. So I went to Rockfish Oaks and they were excellent. They had a fun run. And I really hope next year they invite, the entire public because their light show is phenomenal. So they did a great job.
I do wanna say, I think I attended the same, Christmas
Yeah, I did see you at the end. It was so many people now.
Yeah. at West Hope Elementary. And I wanna say it was a young man, that was there. And he wasn't supposed to do this in performance, but he did. And it was so great. The song was Noel. And he started popping, doing the pop and dancing. He just put himself out in the front. And that's, and it was just so, and the person that was on the keyboard, which was my daughter, she was like, oh my God.
Keep it going.
And she was like, oh my God. But it just brought joy to everybody. The kids was laughing, the parents was laughing, and he just did his thing and took a loose the whole show. And that was a great night. Yeah. So I don't even know the young man's name. Robert.
But it was great.
It was good.
I just want to say Happy New Year, everybody. Last year we lost some, gained some, and I just want to say that I'm looking forward to a better and greater year because I know that this board we can do it together in spite of. So I'm just looking forward for a great year. Thank you.
All right. And now for the superintendent's report.
All right, let's have a few things first. I want to start off with Happy New Year to everybody and welcome back for the great year of 2026. Before I get started on my regular report, I just want to say that during School Board Appreciation Month, Polk County Schools proudly recognizes our dedicated members of Polk County Board of Education for their leadership, service, and commitment to our students, staff, and community. Thoughtful decision-making, strong advocacy for public education, and a shared vision for student success. Our board members help guide the district forward each day. We are grateful for their time, dedication, and unwavering support of Polk County Schools. We appreciate all you do to help move Polk County forward. So thank you for helping us move the deep needle to help students. And this is School Board Appreciation Month. Next, I wanted to talk about, there's a few things that are coming up. Kindergarten pre-K registration will be on February 21st, 2026. I put a flyer in all your folders. It talks about the documents needed for pre-K. It's pre-K and kindergarten. And it's a flyer that looks like this. And so if anybody calls you, you'll have exactly what they need. And we're looking forward to that day. It's gonna be at West Hope Middle School, at the West Hope Middle School cafeteria. Anything else for that, Ms. Hammond?
Nope, that's it. We're excited about it. It's going to be the same day as our DEX competition for elementary, so we want a big crowd, so we figure competition in the gym, parents can come and roll in the cafeteria, so we're excited about that.
So big day. And we'll keep putting that out. Our girls are going to state again in wrestling. We're looking for a repeat. Repeat. That's big. That puts us up there with Chicago Bulls and a few other teams, but repeat is a big thing. So we want to make sure that we're supporting our student athletes with that. I am proud to announce that we had an excellent shot with the superintendent, and it was televised. Well, it was picked up by Positively Carolina. We supported 25 students, and those students had a ball going around the store, shopping, and it was just good to see that cheer that day. So we're very happy that we were able to help those students with this shop with the superintendent. We're planning a superintendent's night out for February, probably be toward the end of the month, but we do need to do that, and we're looking forward to doing that again. We're gonna publicize that and make sure we have a good crowd. All our teams will be there to share information and talk with our parents and get them up to speed on things that are going on and making sure that they know that they're welcome and they have a place at Polk County Schools and they have a seat at the table. So we're looking forward to that. I am on tour right now, visiting buildings, doing lunch, talking with teachers and students. I'm at my third building will be tomorrow. I'll be at Upchurch. Had some great business with students too. One asked me, was I a secret agent because I had on a black suit. We explained to them I wasn't a secret agent, but I do play one on TV. But we did have a good time, and I'm going to continue to do that. And then also we're scheduling our meetings with staff. As by statute, the superintendent has to meet with staff at least once a year. So I will do that. To get more bang for the buck, I think it's easier to just go to the different buildings and then try to do a whole meeting. So I can answer more questions when it's like that than trying to have everybody in the building at the same time. So we are scheduling those meetings too. My first one of those is going to be next week at Sandy Grove Middle School. So, we'll send out the date and time for that. And that'll be after school, meeting with staff. We want to do that and make sure that staff is being heard and they can share concerns and highlights, and we can just talk about vision and whatever they want to talk about and answer questions. Looking forward to that happening. Have some great news too, and I shared some copies of that with you. I got the certificates from the state board. You have a copy in your folder. Sandhope Early College High School 97.4 graduation rate. Don Steed received a certificate from the State Board of Education, North Carolina Department of Public Instruction, for achieving a goal of expected academic growth for students during the 24-25 school year. J.W. McLaughlin Elementary School for achieving a goal of expected academic growth for students during the 24-25 school year. Very happy about that. Upchurch, certificate for achieving a goal of expected academic growth for students during the 24-25 school year. Sandy Grove Elementary, same, achieving the goal of expected academic growth for the 24-25 school year. Getting better and better. Polk County High School. I'll say it again, Polk County High School exceeded academic growth award. Hawkeye Elementary exceeded academic growth award. And last but not least, Sandhope Early College High School again, led by Ms. Leslie Neal, who's in the audience. Raise your hand, Ms. Leslie Neal. Exceeded academic growth.
Yes.
The principals will receive their certificates on Thursday at our leadership meeting, so I can't wait till they get those. So some great things are happening in those classrooms. We're making that achievement. The trajectory is going up, and we're going to continue for that to happen. And we're working with all our buildings to make sure that they're making the growth that they need to grow. They need to. So we're just excited about the things that are going on in our classrooms.
All right, and now for a public comment.
We
Ready?
don't have any public comment this
You
evening.
don't have anybody. Okay. Moving right along. Of course. But yeah, hard copy. Consent agenda, what were the wishes of the board? Can somebody remind me, were we voting individually or,
Yes.
okay? All right, the first item is, can I get a motion, to approve the minutes for December 9th, 2025? Assuming everybody.
Chairman, I make a motion to approve the consent agenda, the first item minutes for December 9th, 2025.
Second.
Second. Okay, there's a motion on the floor to approve the minutes for December 9th, 2025. Those in favor?
Aye.
Those against? Okay. And now the school board policy first read.
Before we make a motion, can I ask that the policy code 2230 be pulled for this month?
Are you making a motion?
No, I didn't make a motion, but I wanted to ask that it be pulled before they make the motion.
Second read.
Which one is that one again?
That's the first one. 22, the first one.
And I mean, it could go back on, I just wanted to.
What's the policy number?
22.
That's the first one.
2230?
That would be an amendment to pull that one off the agenda for,
So,
so you can make that amendment. It'll need 2/3 vote to pass, and then that can be pulled and revisited at a later meeting.
Just make a motion.
so you just want me to make a motion?
Need to make a motion to amend the
Amend the
agenda to
agenda.
remove that policy.
I make a motion to, I move to, I move to pull the, policy, code 2230 to the next board
From-
meeting,
To pull it from the consent
From
agenda.
the
from the consent agenda.
Yes.
Second.
Okay. All right, there's a motion on the floor to pull the policy code 2230 board committees. Those in favor?
Aye.
Those against? Aye.
I just,
Yeah.
well, because there's some verbiage that I wanted to, come to y'all meeting and, sort of discuss to see if we could be in agreement, with the verbiage that, I think would benefit the whole board.
Yeah, I would like the opportunity to discuss, unless you want to discuss it right now. I have questions about this, policy,
I think
the policy changes.
I don't wanna do it right now, because I don't wanna stay long, but but I just wanted to pull it to the next time, so we can, well, I can have an opportunity to come to your meeting to sort of discuss this policy and have a better way. You know, I'm not sure, I just need to come to your meetings, but I didn't want it to go through because I wanted to come to your meeting and discuss it.
I would like to discuss it, but I need clarification from Attorney Kenneret.
It can definitely be on for discussion.
Okay.
And if the board so chooses, it can be moved back to policy committee with these comments to be revised and discussed
Yeah.
at the next policy committee, but
Is policy 2120, was it amended?
policy 2120,
Hold on a second. I was under the impression that we were addressing 2230.
I was asking because unless we've changed policy 2120, which says in section B, number 2, it says to make policy decisions while always keeping in mind the objective of providing students the opportunity to receive a sound basic education, and only after full discussion at publicly held board meetings. So I'm just trying to follow the policy and discuss it in a board meeting.
yes, so policy 2120 that you're referencing, that section, that was reviewed by the policy committee, sent to the full board for first, second read, approved, and was finally adopted by the full board on September 9th, 2025. This one has been in process. And policy decisions include not only the written official policies that go in the manual, but they also include other decisions that you guys make in the direction of the school. So as far as this specific policy, if you'd like to pull it, discuss it more thoroughly, it needs to be removed from the consent agenda for discussion. And if it needs to go back to policy committee, that's something the board can decide to do, so that if there are changes based on the discussion of the board, they can be incorporated and it can be brought back for full board approval.
That's all I'm asking.
So I say we discuss it now.
So we'll need the motion to remove it from consent agenda for discussion, because we didn't do that before. So Rose's motion,
But you're gonna
With a
need four
second.
people to do that.
yes, you'll need 4 people to do that. If not, then,
And as it stands right now, there's only 2.
so I don't know if there's, if you want to put it to a second vote, make another motion, you can do that.
We need 4 people to remove.
Because
Yes.
we've already adopted the agenda, you need 2/3.
Okay, so you're gonna have to
Okay, so what am I doing now?
So you're gonna make the same motion that you just made for discussion.
I move to pull the policy code 2230 from the consent agenda for discussion.
There's a, well,
And a
there's a
second.
second. Okay, there's a motion on the floor to pull policy code 2230 board or committee, for, discussion. Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So we got,
Four.
we got 3 people, 1, 2, 3. And those against? Aye, I'm
Okay,
against that.
so it looks like the motion passes because I think Catherine voted in the affirmative.
Okay.
So, if you want to move to approve the rest of the policies on the consent agenda, go ahead and do that.
Okay.
And then you can discuss 2230, and
Okay.
policy committee can try to take notes for
All right,
next time.
so can I get a motion to approve, the,
I make a motion to approve the rest of the policy changes as a first read.
there's a motion on the floor to approve, the remaining, policies.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those against? Okay, all right.
So, yep. And now if you want to call for discussion on that, Mr. Preston.
Okay. If you will call for discussion.
Oh,
Sorry, not loud enough, my bad.
okay. I now open the floor for, to discuss policy, what was it, 21,
2230.
yeah, 21.
2230.
Yeah, 2230 board committees policy.
My question was just basically, I'm wondering what the committee's reasoning is behind limiting to 3 members.
To my recollection, the reason was because, let me first, address this accordingly. First, we're gonna have to take it back in time. Because I think that it would be unjust to just give you a straight answer. So let's start from the very beginning. We started with a work session when, back then, the new 3 board members came in. And while there was a great intent with the work session, we started, reviewing policies during that, meeting. Okay, and basically what I recall, we became overwhelmed because we kept stacking stuff in there. So we decided to put a vote on the floor to, get rid of the, work session, meeting 2 weeks before the regular monthly meeting. With the agreement, I think, was to, let's talk about a policy committee so we can continue updating the policies. Later on, I wanna say under the, Angela Sutherland was the chair at the time. She brought the comment and I think we voted on it and we established the first committee ever in the school district, a committee, of the board. Okay, and then, to my recollection, y'all can correct me if I'm, inaccurate. At the time that we voted, I volunteered to be the chair, and I was nominated by, Ms. Sutherland. The board voted me to be the chair, and then we needed one more individual. And I believe that, Ms. Sutherland was the one that volunteered as a second board member, and then, Ms. Blue, decided to also join. Then we proceeded, and then after a while, when it came to reviewing specifically this policy, by the way, this policy has always been there. We just never modified it because we didn't have any committees, and we did establish the first committee, which is the policy committee. And so, to my recollection, there was two board members. I don't mean to drop your name, but these are the facts. To my recollection, there was two board members that they did not have the time and, work schedule and all that stuff. So two board members at the time did not want to partake because of time constraint. Totally understandable. And so therefore, as we progress, we kept that in mind, and so the discussion was brought about what would be the number. We went from 2 to 3, and I'm just gonna say, I own this, okay? This is what I remember saying. In order for us to effectively move policies forward, we have to have 3 people that agree, and therefore we can move forward, because this is exactly what will happen. Fortunately, we're agreeing to these because we need to resolve this issue. Okay, but we didn't want to do 4 because that's almost the board, 1.5, 5. But at the time, it was Rosa and
Keisha.
She knows I always had problem with that name, not personally. And so we agreed that it was going to be 3 people, and so that we went along with that. And I think I remember the last meeting that I asked one of the lawyers, Amy, to look the legality of it, which I actually found out already, but it is within the discretion of the chair, whoever the chair is, to nominate a board member of the board to be the chair, and as many as the chair decides, which I didn't make that decision. We all agreed to it. And so that's the background of the meeting. Say, if we have one more, my logic behind it is this: if we have one more board member, which is 4, I say we include all 5. And the biggest thing is that it shouldn't be a board member, 4 members as an example, that the board member just wants to come in when they feel. This is an obligation, and the 3 at the time, we agree that this is an obligation and we will fulfill this obligation. So this should not be for any policy committee, for any committee, such as a potential financial committee. We need to have dedicated board members that are willing to attend every time. And that's what we have been doing since we agreed. And so that's just so everybody knows the background as to how we came with the resolution of 3, not 4 or 5.
But we did not agree without the attorney being present.
That's right. That's right. Thank you, Angela, for bringing that to my attention. And there's been a discussion about the fact that these might be closed session meetings. It's not. It's open to the public. Individuals are more than welcome to look at the website, the official website, and it's on there. As a matter of fact, right now for the next 20 policies, potentially 21, because I think I added another one. They're already there on the website, so it's open to the public to review these policies. They're pretty much already modified based on general statute recommendations and all that stuff. All we're doing is reviewing to make sure that the content fits to the mission of the district. The superintendent attends, other staff members, attend. This is, like I said, this is open to the public. Nothing is done in secrecy. So I hope I answered your question.
My question?
You didn't answer my question. I just wanted to know, why are you limiting it to 3?
I just,
No, you're not saying why. There's no reason to limit to 3.
I just said
I
why.
think the reason that it was at this point in time when it was discussed is, it's recommended that you reflect local practices. And local practice at the time that this policy revision came to the policy committee was, we have 3 people on this committee. Let's make sure that our policy aligns, because there are a lot of policies in your manual that the committee has worked through to get up to date. There are a lot that have been way out of date, making headway. So at that time, when the decision was 3, it's, okay, we have, a quorum of the board, the minimum is 2 to have a committee, a standing committee like this. We have 3 people that have been doing it. That's why it was put forward for those 3. If it is going to be 4 or more, if you have 4, you might as well have the full board.
Yes.
But if you're doing that, then you are making decisions at those meetings on policies to then again be voted on by the full, it's still gonna have to go first, second read. So at this juncture, the way it's set up with just the 3, you're proposing these revisions for discussion. So we've taken this one off so that it can be discussed. To the full board, the policy committee itself is not making those decisions on behalf of the board. They are just proposing it, doing kind of the leg work, the grunt work on that.
And if I can,
Go ahead.
if I can interject, Jessica, because she wasn't on the board at the time, everybody had the opportunity to really be a part of the committee, but it was work schedule and timing. That is the reason why. And so it wasn't like, we're gonna do this and this is ours and nobody else's. Everybody had the opportunity.
Yeah, that's just why, I'm just wondering why we're saying, we're making it policy that will never exceed 3 members in total on this committee. But can you give clarification, if we're allowed to come to the meeting, and participate in that discussion?
You can participate in the discussion, but you wouldn't be able to vote. You would be kind of an
Vote
ex
for what?
officio, a vote to extend it on to the full board,
Okay.
right?
And
Because you're
that's
not a
fine.
member of
Right.
the committee as designated. But you would definitely be able to participate in the discussion as a board member. You just wouldn't have at the committee any right to vote to move it to the full board.
And that,
Okay, because any meeting that has 3 members is a board meeting,
But
according to the North Carolina School of Government.
yes, but according to this policy, they're not acting on behalf of the board. They're sending their policy recommendations to the full board for final discussion.
I just, go ahead.
I'm sorry. And so the other thing, that I wanna bring to everybody's attention so we don't forget. I know it might seem like it's a lot, and really it is. It's time consuming. But one of the reasons why we decided back then that we were going to have this policy committee the day of the regular monthly meeting board was so we would not get paid again for another meeting. Thus saving money to the district, because when we came in to try to save money, find ways to save money. And so that is very important. Unfortunately, we are all busy and we do have schedules, and sometimes we're not able to do it, but in time, we've been able to shift the timing. It used to be every month, and then it became overwhelming. And so we decided, hey, you know what? And of course, this is also with the recommendation of Dr. Spells and his staff that, I think that we're gonna do this every other month, but then then we agreed, okay, well, we need to increase the volume of the policies because we started with 10, we're doing now 20. So there's a lot that goes to this, but go ahead.
My concern, and it's just only a concern, is, well, I think it's twofold. One is, I personally think it should be 2 members, and let me tell you why. Because if you're at a 1 to 2 members, board members, and I know there's gonna be other members on there, and the only reason I'm saying that is because we are only made up of 5 members, right? And if if three of you, or three of us, let's just say three of us, are at the policy meeting, and you agree to, change the things that you're changing, regardless if it's grammatical or whatever it is, change it and then move it forward, that means you've agreed. Once we come as a board of 5, we really, we still have a say, we still can vote yay or nay or whatever, but you all are gonna vote, or whoever's on that board, will vote how they really voted, to move it on, because they voted to move it on, and that's gonna be the perception. That's all I'm saying. So it's always gonna be, who's ever on that policy board, who's ever on any board, it's always gonna be, it's always gonna be a victory, for lack of better terms, for them. That's one thing, hold on. The other thing is, when y'all first came on, you had this committee. Do we have any time the committee will change? Maybe we want to, if it's gonna be 3 and you all want to stay on the board, when will it change to other members?
When we came on the board, we didn't have this committee. It was created.
All I'm saying is, it's already developed, right?
Right.
Okay. So.
And you was a part of that. You just decided not to be a part of it.
Right, okay.
It's
all I'm saying, it's already developed.
Okay.
My question to you
Mm-hmm.
is, you've always been chair of that board. You always been, huh?
I said, you doing a good job.
Yeah. You've always been members. And it's 3, right? It's 3 of you, right? If, say for instance, me and Jesse wanted to not join as 5, but replace, when will that happen? Do you have a policy? Do you have any, any things like, well, you do 2-year terms, and then I'm just asking.
You done?
I'm done.
Okay, I've already forgot the first question.
My first question was, hold on, my first question was, what was my first question?
1 or 2 members.
Yeah, what, my first question was, because it's 3 members, understand this, because it's 3 members, then it's gonna always look like, the appearance is gonna be there, because you moved whatever policy you did, you moved it forward, meaning that you're in agreement. So when you come to the full board, even if I said nay, or whatever I said, it's always gonna pass, because the 3 that's on the committee brought it to us.
Well, I
Not
mean,
necessarily, because Chairman, it might not pass because it might be something that we didn't see that you brought to the attention of that person. So it's not like it's already set in stone. I do have a question though.
Okay.
Before the policy committee was formed, and you might not know this, Jessica, but some of the policies was really outdated. Like, I don't even think they were even looked at. And I think we was just trying, and we're still trying to make sure everything's updated so that we will be within the law and doing things that we say we're gonna do. So was there a policy committee before? How often did
Back in
that meet?
1976? No, I don't know.
That wasn't one in
I don't know.
96, that wasn't,
It's been like probably 10 years ago that it was, some revisions were done in like 2015,
Yeah.
because I read through every
Yeah.
single one.
so,
So that's my entire, exactly your point is what I'm trying to do. Because I'm not gonna say anything negative about previous boards because they were excellent.
Right.
But it could be seen by some as derelict in your duty if you're not doing, reviewing policy, because it is mandated. This is our job. Our main job is policy. So my problem with this policy right here is that, for one, it does not follow 2120B number 2 of an existing policy. And I just pulled up where you said it was
revised in September.
I think 20.
Will the revision include, if this is the revision and what's currently on, if it's already
I
policy?
think it's on the manual.
Okay, well then that means we are breaking that policy that we voted in September, which says number 2 is to endeavor to make policy decisions while always keeping in mind the objective of providing students the opportunity to receive a sound basic education, and only after full discussion at publicly held board meetings, not committee meetings. So that's why I have a question about this policy, because it does not follow it. How is a policy that doesn't even exist, because we have not even approved this in its final form, how is it being used to say how we're gonna make policies?
So, and this is what I can propose, so that the policy committee and when we're looking at this policy on how to make it square with everything, not that it doesn't, because again, the committee is making recommendations. It has no authority under this policy to act on behalf
I
of the board.
understand that, but I've been told at 2 meetings in August and December. And of course, I understand how it is. Sometimes it's stressful. We don't say exactly what we mean to say, or it doesn't come out right. But I was told twice that I couldn't discuss policy because the committee decided, and it's on recording on YouTube. Anybody can see it.
So generally so one of the ways that can be rectified is to not have policies, especially when they're being presented for first read on the consent agenda. Now we're reviewing a lot of policies, which can be challenging to act. Now you can move to consolidate them and approve them all at once after any objections or conversations have been brought forward. So that's one option to make sure that the board members that are not serving on the committee at one point in time feel that they have really the full ability to discuss those. So what we can do is we can kind of what the standard practices of other policy committees. A lot of districts have moved to policy committees because your manuals are large. The law changes frequently, guidance changes frequently, is we can bring to you guys next meeting a few, and I'm sorry to kick the can, I don't mean to do that, but just coming back, trying to get up to speed here. What other surrounding districts are doing that are effective, where everybody has the ability to discuss and comment on that, what policy committees look like in other districts, if they have them, if they don't, how many people are on it, so that you guys can kind of figure out, well, what works best for us, what works best for this board as it's formed now, and what will work best for a board as it's formed in January of next year, depending on how.
So I never did answer your questions.
Are you gonna answer?
I mean, there's just too much discussion going on. We're going around, I think they were going around pretty much in circles, but the decision back then was made based on prior information that certain board members did not have the time, which was totally understandable. That's why, and yes, perception is perception. Yes, I do agree that if 3 board members agree that this is how we want to move a specific policy forward, yes, it is assumed that we probably have the votes, but I forget who the one that said that it's always the case. That's not the case, because we're talking about a policy right now. So it's not always the case, so I'm open to, we started as 5 board members doing the work session, reading policies, and I remember staying there till 11 o'clock at night. It was vicious, not as in bad discussions, but it was a lot of midnight oil, and that's because we wanted to update, because one of the things we discovered, which I beg the difference as far as ever having a policy committee, because we ran into a 1996 policy. They had never been updated. So we're trying our best, but to answer your second question, is nobody has approached me and asked that I would like to be the chair to the policy committee. I'm more than willing to, because I've been thinking about that. I am the chair, and then I'm the chair of the, initially we started with, we couldn't come to a conclusion as that we're gonna do this a year, and then we started every other month. I said, well, that's very short. How about if we change the content to where, as don't quote me, but as fit, as needed. Yeah, as needed. And so as needed, and if you and Jessica wanna join, then we're gonna address this and, at least two of us can step down. And to me, it's logical that I myself don't like wasting time. I can't see myself reviewing 20 policies. And I'm a slow reader. I tell everybody this. It takes me a whole month to read 20 policies. And I can't see myself spending all that time only to come over here and all the policies get rejected. It's counterproductive. That's why, to me, it made sense. If we have 3 board members that agree, but it's not against the law,
But you just said it.
but it's against the law.
No. You just said, to have 3 on there because you don't wanna do 20, and I understand that. You don't wanna do 20 policies and then come to the meeting and have it rejected. That's what
It
you
kind of
don't
sounds
want.
like you're saying you
Right.
don't want to, you don't care what everyone has to say.
Let's please not talk over each other. Let's allow
Chairman,
each
I
other
would
to
like to
talk.
resign from that committee and let them have an opportunity to be on it.
Okay, well,
Just resign them.
okay.
Cause I've said that in the beginning, that if anybody wants to
Yes,
be
you
on
did.
it, so I'm off of it. So y'all have that space.
I want to be
Because it's
clear.
redundant.
My problem was never in really this policy. My problem was in how how policies are being presented to the board during meetings, because that was the motion I made last week. Originally was I asked if we could have the policy presented as an information item with just, citing all of the policies that are just grammatical changes or changes that are mandated by the state, and an explanation on the one single policy, because that's usually how it is, that has major changes. And just an explanation of that, because it's not about me being on the board. I don't want you to feel the same way I do, and I don't want the public to feel like you're being
I'm
treated
gonna feel
that way.
Mm-mm, not at all. I'm good.
You may, you never know
I
what could
won't.
happen.
No, ma'am, I won't. I'm good. No, I won't.
Well, I want to do my job and
Yeah.
discuss policy.
Cause
So
the
I'll
door
be
is
glad to
always
do that.
open. If I wanna come, I'm gonna come.
Right.
So I'm not gonna feel that way.
And
So
you can
my
discuss.
seat is
You
now
just can't vote to
open
move on.
as well. Right, so it's open. so
Well, I
can
was
take
told
the
at 2
space.
meetings that I could come, but not discuss. I think we have had that cleared up with our attorney now, and everyone's on the same page.
Discuss,
think
no voting.
No voting.
Right.
Yeah, I thought that was made clear, but, can you reinstate
So if you're not appointed or serving on the policy committee, you're of course welcome to come to the meetings and participate in the discussion. You just wouldn't have the ability to vote on the changes. Now, you might be able to get input and help with the changes, but you wouldn't vote on those changes to be then presented to the full board for approval. And again, it's a first, second. So say this policy, okay, first reading, we don't like it, we need to go back to the drawing board. It can be
That's right.
represented. It can be represented with minor changes as a second, and you can approve it at the next meeting as a second, if everyone's good with those changes. So there is flexibility in that. But, we'll do what you guys, if there's more information that you'd like on policies, procedures, what's going forward, if Ms. Sutherland has decided to step down and Ms. Brown is willing to step up and participate at that next policy committee, which I think is the February meeting. We can certainly do that, and we'll prepare for you, hey, this is what it looks like, and discuss it. And then whatever policies I, think that come for first reading, we can have a separate information item on those. And if there's discussion on those specific policies, we can consolidate the ones that are good to go. You can pass them for second read on consent, and the other ones can again go back to the drawing board. So it's a little bit more fluid, flexible process.
I'm sorry, Grace, what did you say?
Oh gosh, Rosa.
So, assuming that this might be the wishes of the board, I would very much appreciate it if anybody's interested to become the chair of the policy committee. By all means, reach out to me and address that with me. I don't think we need to make a decision right now on this, because that's not That's not what we voted for. But just put a lot of thought to it, because I'm gonna tell you this right now, about my own personal experience. As far as I'm concerned, it is extremely consuming. It's extremely consuming. And one of my goals was that we wanted to get all the policies done before the next election cycle. And then I was given some bad news by HR that, oh, we haven't even started. We still got a whole bunch of other sections. I was like, there goes my goal. You know, so it's very time consuming, but if you want to be, we can further address the number of board members in the in the committee, later on in the committee, and then we can come to some type of consensus on it, but again, if you want to, because I read the general statute, it specifically addresses the chairman, quote unquote, and then he nominates the chair of the committee and as many volunteers as necessary, I'm paraphrasing. And so if you want to volunteer as the chair, by all means, let me know. If you want to volunteer as the second and third or second board member to the policy committee, by all means, reach out to me and let me know, you know. And I say this with an open heart as far as give you an input, because I think really that we're just I think we're beating the horse on this one. I think we got the point across. We will address this accordingly in the next policy committee. And now that I know that there's interest in other board members, but I just want to tell you that it's a commitment. It's not when you want to show up. It's a commitment because really we owe it to the district to make sure that all our policies are up to date. And it was embarrassing, and I say this with the utmost respect. It was embarrassing when I ran into a policy that was dated 1996 and it had never been updated. That's embarrassing. Okay? And that's up to the board, not to the district. I can't remember.
I think it was in the
Okay?
2000 section.
But it was one of the first, but anyways, I think we had some positive feedback on this policy committee. We will proceed accordingly, and by all means, again, I reemphasize, please reach out to me and let me know that you want interest. We're not gonna make this decision now, but I would like to, whoever wants to be the chair, by all means, reach out to me. I'm available to you 24/7, except when I'm on sleep in the week. Okay. Anything else? Can we move on with this? Okay, so, now the, next item's the administration.
Information item.
What got here? The financial audit, report. Anybody?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Dr. Spells, good to see y'all again. Has everyone got a copy of the audit report there in front of them? I'll be going over just a few pages from the report that I think are the most important to you all in overseeing the finances of the district. If anyone has a question at any time, if I skip something that you want me to touch on, just feel free to interrupt. The financial statements cover two main areas that we audit each year and are required to issue reports on. The financial section covers the first 58 pages of the report, followed by the compliance section starting on page 59. And within the detailed financial statements, there are 4 letters that we issue that pertain to these two audit areas. And I'll go over those 4 letters with you this evening. And we'll start with the financial section. And there's just a few pages in that section that we'll go over. And I'll point out that on pages 1 through 3 is the financial statement opinion letter that we issued. And it is a clean, unmodified opinion, which is exactly what you want to receive. And that basically means that we feel as though all the amounts and disclosures that you see in the report are reliable and free from any sort of material misstatement or errors. The next page that we'll look at is page 15. And page 15 shows the revenues and expenditures of the governmental funds of the district for the year ended June 30th, 2025. And once we finish page 15, we will look at the child nutrition program, back on page 57. I'll give y'all a minute to find that page. On page 15, we'll be focusing first on the general fund, which is the first column. Okay, and if you look down at the very bottom on page 15, the general fund column, you've got the fund balance as of the end of the year, as of June 30th, 2025, which was $948,046. And this amount is a decrease of $226,318 from the fund balance that was reported at June 30th, 2024, which was $1,174,364. And both of those amounts are right above that 948. You can
You
see,
said 450, you said 15?
yeah, page 15.
Okay. Okay, I see it.
All right. And if you look down at the bottom of that first column, again, you can see the fund balance of the general fund was $948,046. And that was a decrease of $226,318. And that decrease is two numbers above that on the net change in fund balance line. And the beginning of your fund balance is right there in between, the $1,174,364. Okay, now the other fund that I want you to look at is in the middle of the page. It's the other special revenue fund. And looking at those same numbers, you can see that the other special revenue fund ended the year with $212,600. And it reported a decrease of $1,138,990 in fund balance. Okay, and these two funds kind of go together. They both kind of operate jointly as the general fund. That's why we're going to look at them together tonight. So combined, the general fund and the other special revenue fund reported a decrease in fund balance of about $1.4 million. Okay. And if you look at what the total is remaining, the $948,000 plus the $212,000, that number is $1,161,000. So y'all don't have enough fund balance left between those two funds to spend $1.4 million again. Does everyone understand that? Okay. In the previous year, I think y'all spent about $714,000 in fund balance in the June 30, 2024 year. Okay. So at this point, having spent the $1.4 million, you're down to $1,161,000. So I know we're in the middle of the year, but I'm not sure if y'all have looked at this yet, but you need to make sure that you're not on track to spend another $1.4 million, because you would run out of cash at that point if you were on track for that. So if y'all haven't looked at that yet in depth, then y'all need to look at it to make sure that, you know, that y'all made cuts or revenues are going to go up enough, you know, combination of those two, so that you don't spend, you know, the remaining fund balance that you have. And you definitely can't spend the 1.4 or you would be in the negative. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. All right. We would actually recommend that you try to get the fund balance back up to around 1.5 million if you could. And 1.5 million, that would give you around 2 to 2.5 months of operating cash. And y'all need that just for cash flow purposes, you know, paying the monthly bills. And then just having some in the bank in case an emergency comes up, you know, a hurricane, some other kind of natural disaster, pension spiking liabilities. You've got all kinds of things that could pop up and y'all would need the money for. So, you know, it's good to try and get that built back up if you can. So that's just something that I would recommend y'all go ahead and look at now for the current year. And then also with the budget season, planning season coming up for the 26-27 year, you need to go ahead and, you know, be factoring that in as well as part of those procedures. Anyone have any questions? All right, let's go to page 57 and we'll talk about the school nutrition program. And page 57, it shows the revenues and expenditures of this fund for the year ended June 30th, 2025. And if you look about 3/4 of the way down, it's the last line that has 3 columns to it, the net change in fund balance. And the middle column shows the actual results for the year, and you can see the school food service program reported a loss of $764,689 last year. And in the previous year, it reported a loss of $247,000. So losses are, about around $1 million over the past 2 years combined. Now, the loss went up this year about $517,000. That increased loss was largely attributable to a $197,000 decline in revenues and a $337,000 increase in expenses, primarily for salaries and benefits and capital outlay costs. And even with the reported loss, the program still has good cash balance, reserves at year end of about $4.5 million. So y'all got plenty of cash in the bank in child nutrition. But cash did go down about 1.4 million last year. And, obviously you can't continue losing 700,000 a year or it'll get gone pretty fast. So, management just needs to look into that program, try to figure out a way to get back to a break even, at least a break even status if you can. Y'all also collect indirect costs from child nutrition. I think last year y'all collected around 200,000. So child nutrition writes a check to the general fund, and that gets deposited into the local bank account to help with covering the overhead costs that the program's child nutrition incurs operating out in the schools. So if cash drops too low, the state will say, well, you don't have enough cash to pay indirect costs. So you got to look at that as well. But again, y'all got a good bit of cash in the bank right now. That shouldn't be an issue. But again, you don't want to keep losing that much money if you can help it. So. Does anyone have any questions?
But I don't know if it's true. Do you know where the loss, why? Is it any of this related to loss in federal funding?
It had something to do with it, didn't it? Related?
Yeah, federal funding went down
Child
about,
nutrition,
Yeah, child nutrition.
it went up salary, she got more employees, and then the federal funds went down.
And those are federal funding cuts across the board?
Yes. And as we lose students, we lose funding also.
Right, but we get that back in next year.
If your students come.
It is,
Yeah, we get it back.
But you won't get it back.
Sometimes we don't come back,
oh, sometimes, right, if they don't come back, we don't need it.
but we don't get the money.
She's saying if they come back in the same year, we've lost that money.
Yeah, if they come back in the
we don't get it
same year, we
that
still get it
So
back.
like increase the deficit.
But I think it's more federal.
Any more questions?
all right. Now the compliance part of the audit starts on page 60. And on page 60 is the first of 3 letters that we issued related to the compliance testing of the board's internal controls and state and federal grant awards. And we're required each year to perform compliance audits on the state and federal funding that flows through the district, which is the majority of the district's funding. And we're happy to report that there were no findings or question costs reported pertaining to the district's federal grants that we were required to audit last year. However, we did report 3 internal control related findings and 1 state grant finding. And these findings are detailed on pages 67 through 70. These findings 2501 through 2504. And if you would turn to page 67, we'll go through those, each one of those findings. So on page 67 down toward the bottom. This finding 2501. Everyone got that? Okay, and this finding discusses that we noted various general ledger accounts that were not properly reconciled in a timely manner during the year. As part of the audit, various journal entries had to be made in order to adjust the general ledger to the proper year-end balances. A listing of those significant audit adjustments included in a separate letter that we issued that was in the front of your booklet. And we'll talk about that letter in a moment. And not reconciling these accounts in a timely manner could result in the board making financial decisions based on inaccurate data. And if you remember last year, we had the same finding last year, and we reported the issue of the Blue Cross Blue Shield health insurance premiums not being requested in a timely manner. And I think that ended up costing the district around $400,000. We didn't have that this year. There wasn't anything like that that was noted. But again, it can happen if the accounts aren't reconciled timely. Because that would have been one of those things that would have been caught before year end had those accounts been reconciled on a monthly basis as they should have been. So anyway, our recommendation is that y'all get procedures in place and get those accounts reconciled each month, so that y'all can stay on top of whether or not there are any issues out there.
Can you repeat that, the recommendations right now?
That the reconciliations be completed timely and accurately each month. That recommendation that's on at the top of page 68. And I'll add that school system finance is very complicated. I mean, it's not very simple to do these reconciliations, especially if you're inexperienced as being a finance officer. We always recommend that you get someone in, if you are inexperienced to help you with it, to make sure that you know what you're doing and that you don't miss anything, because it's very easy to miss something. The issue that y'all had last year that we talked about, that Blue Cross Blue Shield, the insurance premiums not being requested, we had 2 more districts this year that had that same exact problem. I think one lost around $450,000, and the other one lost around $200,000 to $300,000. So, and y'all aren't alone, but in both cases, it was new, inexperienced finance officers, and it's the state they don't have any mercy on you once June 30th passes. They do not let you go back and get that money, once the year ends. And they don't care that it was an honest mistake. You just didn't notice it until after June 30th. They don't care about that. June 30th is a hard cutoff, and everything needs to be adjusted. And that's why it's so important that the reconciliations be done in a timely manner each month, so that you can catch those things before they happen, and you don't get stuck not requesting your money. Okay. Anyone have any more questions on that first finding? Okay. Let's go to page 68, and we've got finding 2502. And this finding summarizes violations noted of the School Budget and Fiscal Control Act pertaining to purchasing. We noted several instances in our audit of expenditures made during the year for which a purchase order was either not completed, or the purchase order was not completed until after the goods or services were received. The purchase order provides documentation that the pre-audit function has been performed in accordance with the School Budget and Fiscal Control Act. And the purpose of the finance officer performing the pre-audit function is to first verify that sufficient unencumbered funds are available in the budget to pay for an expenditure before requesting the goods or services. And not properly performing the pre-audit function is what can directly lead to the district incurring budget violations like what was reported in finding 2503 that we're going to discuss in just a moment. And these purchasing guidelines are in place within the state law to help prevent districts from spending funds they don't have and getting themselves into financial trouble. So, again, we noted this same issue last year, some purchase orders not being done, the process not being followed properly. And so this is 2 years in a row that we've seen this same issue. And I've talked to Ms. Richardson about it. I think she's all over making sure that there are POs in place before anything gets approved. And that's very important, because if, for a district that does get themselves in financial trouble, I know y'all all heard of, Winston-Salem, Forsyth, like Alamance, Burlington, Durham, they've all had issues in recent years. If you've got issues like this, then that's going to look even worse. So that's why it's so important to have good controls and procedures in place, so that if something does go wrong, the state can't come back, send somebody in here to investigate it, and then they find out that the state law that's supposed to be followed was not being followed. So, again, again, that's just, I've talked with Ms. Richardson about it. She says that she is all over it this year, so hopefully we won't see any issues with that, in the next audit. Anyone have any questions on this finding?
Are they not getting requisitions, or they're using requisitions to make purchases, or what's going on? We identified the departments that are doing that.
Yes. And we have basically told them over and over again, like Joseph said, that if they're purchasing stuff and don't have a requisition on PO, then they're gonna pay for it themselves or send it back.
Okay, all right, next page, page 69. You got finding 2503. And this one relates to budget violations that were noted during the audit. And the specific dollar amounts of the violations by fund and function are listed back on page 32. And the violations relate to the budgets of the general fund, the capital outlay fund, and the child care funds. And I'll just go ahead and say the ones for the capital outlay and the child care funds, if you look at those, they look pretty large, but they're not as significant. They're, and that's, the general fund one is the one that should catch your attention. It totaled about $286,000, which what that means is $286,000 of expenditures were made for which the board didn't approve for those expenditures to be made. They were above and beyond what the board had approved to be spent. Now, as I mentioned earlier, when we came in for the audit, there were quite a few adjustments that we proposed as part of the audit to get the books reconciled and adjusted properly. And one of the findings that we had, which we will talk about, it'll be the next one, 2504, related to position allotments being overspent. And that resulted in the district having to record a payable back to the state for those overspent position allotments. And so when that payable got recorded, it gets shown as an expense basically in the general fund, and there wasn't a budget for that. And that was around $140,000 of expense that had to be recorded. But again, going back to what we talked about in the last finding with the purchase order process, it all kind of goes back to, being sure that you follow the proper procedure. Purchase order gets submitted, purchase order gets approved, then the goods get ordered. And again, we saw instances where the goods were ordered, then the purchase order was done. So you're getting the cart before the horse, and you don't want that going on. Any questions about this one? All right, let's go to next page, page 70. And this is the last finding. And this finding discusses that the board exceeded the number of months allotted by DPI for positions. Y'all all understand how the DPI allots positions to the district. Okay, the months allotted for school health personnel was overspent by 5.96 months, instructional support by 0.28 months, and family support nurses by 4 months. And the board also had salary exceptions for overpaid salaries totaling $47,413 for the fiscal year ended June 30th, 2025. And based on discussions with management, this issue was largely due to the district having difficulties throughout the year obtaining accurate salary exception and position allotment reports from DPI, which was a significant factor in the district not complying with this requirement. And to back up management on that, that's 100% accurate. I think I've written this finding up more this year than I have in the past 10 years combined. DPI, I don't know what happened up there, but nobody could get accurate data from them. And so basically districts were getting to the end of the year. They didn't really know where they stood. And unfortunately, in some cases, you overspent positions. Now, y'all also, there's going to be a management letter comment we talk about. Y'all had some positions that were underspent, meaning you left months on the table that you could have gotten money for from DPI. So, you had a little bit of both, overspent some, underspent others. And, but in any event, that does need to be zeroed in on and looked at harder to make sure that you definitely don't leave any months on the table. You know, it's not as bad, in my opinion, to overspend your months. At least that means you didn't leave any months on the table. You didn't give DPI any of the district's money. But when you leave months on the table, that means you could have moved people into those positions and you didn't. So. So does anyone have a question about this finding? Okay, and as I mentioned, there was a separate management letter that we issued. It was a 2-page letter in the front of your booklet. And it had some recommendations for improvements in controls pertaining to various finance areas, including the audits of the individual schools this year. And as I mentioned, that first item relates to the position allotments and discusses that there were unused position allotments in PRCs 001, 004, and 013. And these unused position allotments have an estimated value of about $180,000 that reverted back to the state. So again, y'all just need to look at those controls and procedures and just be sure that, you know, y'all are on top of that. And again, that's another area where we see inexperienced finance officers struggle. And I know y'all got a consultant, experienced retired finance officer coming in and helping Ms. Richardson, which is great. And that'll just be something that needs to be, you know, monitored every month to make sure that y'all are on track to, you know, hopefully come in right at zero in each one of those areas. But, you know, definitely not leave any months on the table if you can help it. And the items in the management letter, they're not as significant as the findings, but they are areas that we recommend management look at and address. I think there were some comments we made at individual schools. We gave Ms. Richardson a detailed list of all of those comments. They primarily relate to receipts and disbursement testing that we did. We didn't note anything fraudulent, but we, you know, always note money being turned in late, things of that nature. So do anyone have any questions about the items in the management letter? All right, and there was another letter that we issued, a separate letter that we call a required communications letter. It's 3 pages, plus it's got the audit journal entries at the back. I think there was 1 or 2 pages worth of journal entries listed right there. And this letter discusses that there were no difficulties or disagreements encountered in dealing with management during the audit. There were no uncorrected misstatements noted during the audit. And there were no significant reportable issues other than the 4 findings that we talked about and the items in that management letter. And again, this letter does make reference to the significant journal entries that were proposed as part of the audit. So that was pretty much all I planned to cover. Was there anything I didn't touch on that y'all had a question about? Okay. Now, I would say that the most important thing though is looking at that general fund and Fund 8, other special revenue fund, to make sure y'all are on track to not spend that much fund balance. That'd be the first thing I would recommend y'all look at and try to make certain about. But I'd like to thank Ms. Richardson and her staff. I know she stepped in, you know, kind of late in the year, early in this new year, and she had to kind of answer for last year's stuff, even though she wasn't the finance officer. So I mean, she did a great job of that, and she's always been great to work with. All the ladies in finance, so I really appreciate them. And, you know, it got done on time. It was issued in the LGC before the 12/31 deadline, so that was good.
Thank you, Bill.
Well, thank you.
Okay, thank y'all.
All right, and next is the construction update.
Gonna return to the opening. Happy New Year. Lighten the mood a little bit. Okay, so this is good news. It's an exciting year, actually, 2026. This will be the opening year for the new high school. Again, as always, we extend the invitation for the board to come and walk through the site on a dry day, preferably, so you don't have to wear muck boots as you trench across trying to get to it. Soon they'll be paved and make it a lot easier to access. But you're familiar with the format, so I'll start off with just some photographs photograph updates. I know you drive by and see it quite often yourselves. This is the front main entry. You see it's really taking shape. The color really pops in there with that accent of the school red primary color. There definitely says entrance. When you come up to the school, you know exactly where to go. To the left again, those are the two-story classroom wing. To the right in the foreground, the lower roof line and the brown brick, I hope I said that right, is the administration area. And just behind that, you can see the corner of the gymnasium. So that gives you a little orientation there. Next slide, please. So when you look down to the left from the entry, this again is a classroom wing. You can see pretty much in this photo, if you zoomed in, the windows are in place. That is a big, big hurdle that's been reached because that helps dry in that interior. The roof being important, but the windows being is huge. So we're glad that everyone out there worked really hard diligently through this winter to get the windows to this point being in. Next slide, please. Inside, it looks kind of clean. This is good. Haven't seen this for a while. This is the cafeteria dining space. You can see the large glass wall in the back that would go out to the outdoor dining patio. They have some protective screen on there to try to prevent people from seeing, so you can't see clearly through it right now. And in the background to the left, you can see the stairs that go up to the second floor. So this is looking down from the second floor balcony that crosses that space towards the science wing. Next slide. This is the learning stairs in the center of the building where the media center is down on the first floor area, open area. And that big white wall is what the board had recently in past actions approved is where you're going to have the logo for the new school buck mascot on there. So that big white wall will eventually have that on there. So just took this to show what it looked like before. Then we see the finished one, it's more impactful. Next slide, please. Looking back towards that commons area, you can see down the classroom wing, the little red glimpses of the accent color that announces where each classroom entry is. The wood roof structure coming across and the space is cleaning up. The primer is being applied to the drywall in many locations, so it's really starting to take shape. Next slide, please. And this is looking back over the entry area. On the left side, you can see the platform area where you'll hold your future board meetings, beginning in there when the school is completed. So looking back towards that wing area. Next slide, please. This is a science lab, so you can see it's taken shape. The walls are primed. You can see the stub outs for all of the sinks that are to be installed once the cabinetry has arrived on site. Again, just so you know, we don't put the cabinetry until we can condition the air in there so nothing swells, warps, or gets damaged in the cabinetry. But you can see the ceiling grid is up and ready. As they work through the building, get everything overhead done for inspections. It's all part of the process. So these are starting to really take visual shape. Next slide, please. The gymnasium, as seen from the second floor, there's windows on the second floor that'll look into the gymnasium. So you can see the bags hanging there that are red. That's going to be your duct system. It's called an air socket. Hangs flat, then when the air goes in it, poof, pops out. So everything's in there going well. Again, can't do much more until we get the building systems on to dry and get humidity control before the wood flooring can be delivered. Next slide, please. Looking down the classroom wing on the second floor again, just so you get a feel for the space here. The entry units to the classrooms themselves will be going in over the next couple months. Next slide, please. So just to review again with you, the schedule. We're looking at a substantial completion in the April-May window. Again, there's been the impacts with the weather and earlier things that were discovered that had to be adjusted. We've talked about those over the course of the project. So they're working hard out there right now, and if their completion days are about 78.5% along the way, which means their final completion will be May, June. This does not fall into a concern with occupying the school because we weren't going to do anything until in the June month when we could begin occupying and moving everything in, getting systems and everything tested and set up. So come August, we're ready for staff and students to be in there full time. So everything's still working within that schedule. The second phase, which is the demolition of the existing buildings and completing that part of the project site, would be, start about August, once everybody's vacated, once maintenance has gone through those buildings and pulled out the items that they need, and be done about January of 27, so one more year. The next slide, please, is the budget. To let you know where you're at, so you're about 70% paid, which you remember the time so far that they've used is about 78%. So this is always good. You want them to be farther ahead than they're paid, as opposed to further paid than they are. So we always monitor that. As far as the 3 contingencies that were identified in the budget that the board approved, the construction contractor contingency, just over 78% used. The design contingency has used over 200%. The owner contingency has grown 29%. So the good news to there is that we are still healthy on the contingency funds. Started off with about 2.4 million, remaining just over 1.1. We continue to evaluate some that have come up that we fine-tuned to make sure the prices and the scope of work impacts were all fair and reasonable. Those total just below 560,000. So if those amounts were all approved, you still have $583,000 of funds in there. And again, as we talk about, should there be those funds remaining at the end of the project, working with staff, proposal will be made to the board of other opportunities for the funds to be used for the betterment of the systems and school out there. The summary sheet, next slide, please. Again, this shows all the numbers, where you start with your budget, how much is encumbered, how much has been expended, and anything that's unencumbered. Again, the highlighted block areas in yellow are the numbers that have changed since last month's presentation. These are mostly restricted to pay applications at the top for the contractor and disbursements and contingencies. The fees for the architect and engineers, and also the fees for the commissioning agent working out there. No other expenditures have been paid in the past month. So we're still looking good also, about 560,000 remaining potentially in the contingencies, and in the unencumbered funds, we still have about 5,000 remaining in design, print, and mail that have not been allocated or encumbered for anything. We have a balance in the commissioning agent. We're able to negotiate very good terms with them. That left about $133,000. And apparently I undercharged, and there's still about $45,000 remaining in there. So you're looking at about $190,000 just in those 2 categories. I wouldn't get excited about the technology unencumbered amount of 2.1. There's still a lot of purchases that need to be made, TVs, support systems and other things out there, computer devices. So those we just met today about, and working on the purchasing plan for that. So as that number becomes firm and we're able to issue purchase orders for those, we'll know funding that might be remaining in that category. So far, budget-wise, it's a very healthy project in here. Any questions I can answer for anybody? Very good, thank you. Oh, yes, sir.
Yes, sir. While we added here, have we, Dr. Hunt also, have we determined what possible dates can the board get a walkthrough? Because we talked about this last time, and just wondering if we make some type of coordination to possible days that we can.
We have not identified. I was waiting to see if the board members provided any dates and times that work specifically for you collectively as a group, but I can throw some dates out there to each of you as a whole on an email and get buy-in from you to see which dates work. And of course, we can coordinate with John's schedule so that he can be there, and MidCon, J&K have been more than welcoming to say that any time that we want to walk through the building, we are more than welcome to do so. So by the end of this week, I can throw some dates out to everybody.
Would the board be pleased if we agree to receive multiple days next month? That gives us plenty of time to come out with several days different weeks of the next month, and we can hopefully agree on one or two potential days. I think that gives us plenty of time to react. We'd like to receive that email as soon as possible, as far as, multiple days throughout the month. More options, I think, the better we might be.
I will encourage the board to consider doing a tour midday at noon. All workers go on lunch break. That means a lot of equipment won't be moving around, there won't be a lot of noise and things and interrupting as you're going through, and it's easier to walk through, hear everything and see everything without all that going on. So, I'll work with Dr. Hunt to issue the dates and encourage everyone to consider doing it at noon.
Thank you, John.
We'll put them on the odds and ends,
Okay,
the weekly report.
yes, sir. And, next is the, vacancy report.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Okay, this evening, the vacancy report, happy to share that we have a total of 34, 24 certified, 10 classified vacancy for a total of 34 vacancies for the 25-26 school year. The information has been shared out with staff, APs and up that hire for the fiscal year, this fiscal year will end on February the 11th. So we can start closing out and start opening up the fiscal year 26-27 year.
No questions? All right, next is the financial month to date.
Good evening. Okay. So we've changed the format of the month to date, so to give you information that would be more beneficial to you than just numbers on a sheet. So next slide, please. As we say, that whenever I give you the sheet that has the numbers on it, it doesn't really tell you about positions versus cash dollar allotments. So here are our position allotments that Dale was just speaking about. So our classroom teachers, our enhancement teachers, our principals and assistant principals, our school health allotments, our instructional support, CTE, and nurses. So DPI has changed on us again. They gave us months, then they changed it to days. So you have to be very careful with the days because each teacher uses 21 and a half days per month. But if you have a 12-month person, they can use anywhere from 22 to 23 to 24 days a month. So that that kind of distorts your when you're trying to plan. So as you look at this, I think what's important to you all to know that these are a lot of days that we were given for the year, what we've used thus far, what we plan on using from January to June. And if you look at the yellow line, it's telling you where we look like we might end up at the end of the year. So it looks like we might be over 1.83 positions in classroom teachers, but we can move that somewhere else. We should be 0.55 positions under, and then in principals and assistant principals, which is always a problem because we have so many assistant principals that we have to pay out of somewhere else. So we'll just move that 71% position somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of it, it looks like we'll be to the goods 0.66 positions, but our plan is to have that zeroed out by the end of the year. Next slide. These are the program codes of interest. So our PRC 027, which is our teacher assistant allotment, that one always has an overage of money. So what we're planning on do with that, because we had to put a lot of people in 32, because as you know, last year we lost a lot of 32 money. So what we'll do is move ECTAs into that position so we can use up the remainder of that money. PRC 31, which is our low wealth funds, we have a potential, a remaining balance of 500,000, but that will take care of transportation. And we'll get the transportation as we move down. PRC 32, which is our children with disabilities, like I said, we move all of EC teachers into 32 because last year we lost a lot of money in 32, but we don't plan on losing it. So if we come up with a shortage, which means we'll go over that, we plan on using the remaining funds from PRC 27, which like I said is teacher assistants, and 60, which is their other fund. But that one, PRC 60 does transfer over to the next year. They don't lose that, but the 32 they will. Next slide. Okay, I talked about transportation, and when I talk about PRC 056, that is the yellow bus. And because our bus drivers are some of the highest paid bus drivers in North Carolina, and
I'm sorry, can you say that one more time?
since our bus drivers are some of the highest paid bus drivers in North Carolina, and we still have a lot of older buses that require a lot of fixing. So that's the reason why their expected shortage is about $300,000, which is about $100,000 more than it was last year. But like we said, we have plans to use other state funds to meet those shortages, but we will start meeting transportation and myself because we have to find places where they can cut because that is a large shortage. PRC 68 and 69, that is, the 68 is the alternative school, which is Turlington. This is the last year that we will ever have 68. But we're not concerned about that because 68 is funded by 69 anyway. So we move money from 69 to 68. So what happens is the alternative school employees will just mosey into 69. So there is an expected remaining balance of $200,000 in 69, but remember that's gonna go to fund some of our summer custodians, our summer programs, and whatever's left over can carry over into the fiscal 27 year. Next slide. Fund 2 is where Fund 2 is where we normally run into problems because that is where our operating cost is. Normally, and we're gonna start working on Fund 2 budget to take to the commissioners in April, I believe it is. But we have to start thinking about separating our continuation costs from everything else that we want to ask for. And the reason why that is because it gets kind of blurry if we don't. And so they just think, well, whatever we give you, however you spend it, but we have to be very, very concise about the fact that we need our continuation costs to go up every year. Because the light bill goes up every year, salaries go up every year, benefits go up every year, but if we don't act specifically for those before we do anything else, then they won't know that we really, really need these funds before you give us anything else. So as we work on that, when we all, as the board and finance, we meet together, we'll discuss that and we'll have a definite separation from what we need for continuation for funds and what else we're asking for. So therefore, if they decide, well, this is the amount that we're gonna give you, we have to make sure we have our continuation costs taken care of, or else that number will get bigger. And like he told you, we don't have any fund balance to even play around with, so we have to keep that. And then that means, one more thing, that means that we have to cut maintenance off sooner, which means our buildings are not getting fixed properly as they need to. And continuation costs, so you know, it's just like I said, it's local salaries, benefits, utilities, workers' comp, and our charter schools. Because whether we like it or not, we now have 13 charter schools. We now have 13, and we had, our last count was 714 students. But whatever they give to our students, if they give our students $900, we have to give those students the $900 also. So that's very important to know. And the last one is Fund 8, with our overall revenues projected at $4,940,000. But our year-to-date expenses thus far is $2,542,575. And if you double that, it makes it look like we're going to be more expensive than we have revenues, but that's not the case because a lot of things in our Fund 8 is our grants. And some of them have already been spent to their capacity, so we won't have that problem anymore. Some of them, we're making sure that as they spend the money, they're getting it replaced. So I'm not worried about Fund 8, but Fund 2 is what the fund we have to watch. And
How they getting it replaced, other grants?
right, so most of the grants that we get are reimbursable.
Okay.
So that means you spend the money and then you ask for them to give it back. And just like when you look at, when we think about, what is it, the fresh reads and the other engineering, at the last minute, they decided they were gonna take that money back. So we had one more chance to get everything that we owed and everything that was owed to us. And if we didn't do it correctly, that means we would have lost money. So when you're dealing with reimbursement, funds, you have to be on point. Yes, ma'am. Okay. I think that's the last slide.
Any
Thank
more, any questions? Alright, next, item is San Jose Early College Schedule Revision.
Good evening. So the purpose of coming to the board tonight is to inform the board. We had brought to you last year some thoughts about the schedule for Sandhook Early College, and we went out and sought community feedback and to share how the community feedback directly influenced our thinking and ensure that you had clarity on both the rationale and logistics and the idea that we have now with respect to that. So last year, again, we brought forward the possibility of adjusting the schedule at Sandhook Early College. And after surveying the students, family, and staff to gather feedback, we made the decision last year not to move forward with any changes to the schedule, but are looking at it again this year for next year. In response to the feedback, we're proposing a modified version of the original plan that's more aligned with what families had shared with us as their needs. And so specifically, the proposal is to change the schedule for the early college from an 8:30 start time to a 9 a.m. start time. And then the end time would be 4 p.m. So that adjustment maintains the integrity of the early college program. It better supports our students and transportation considerations and family needs. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to ask Ms. Neal to just share with you more details about the instructional impact of the change and how it supports the students and staff, and as well, Mr. Heath is here as well to talk about the transportation considerations and how that impacts transportation.
Thank you. I'm going to be using my phone for notes. I don't want you to think I was just scrolling, but thank you. Good evening. Thank you for having me. As Dr. Ramsher said, we started thinking through this plan of adjusting our school day last year, largely because of some feedback that we were getting from our staff, from our students, and some ideas that we had with kind of looking at ways to align what we're doing at Sandhook Early College with the community college. So one thing that happened for us this year is we were really intentional in working on our calendar to make sure that we were aligned with the community college as far as the days off, our days in school, those types of things. We wanted to take that one step further and to align our start time at the school with the start time for the community college. So we've met numerous times with Kim McMillan, who's the Associate Dean of High School Partnerships, and some other staff members, just to talk through what some of the impact would be for us to make this change. In partnership with transportation, we're going to be able to still offer the same access for our students, both at the Hope Center and at the Pinehurst campus, not the main campus, the Pinehurst campus in Pinehurst. And by the way that we're able to facilitate that would be making some adjustments with transportation as far as what we have now is that students come to us from home and then they catch a bus, or two buses rather, from Sandhook, one at 8 o'clock and one at 8:10. The change would facilitate students being picked up from their homes and then taken directly to the Pinehurst campus. And in some communication that we've had with Ms. Pegram at the high school, that would be an arrangement that we would have for her students as well, who are taking 9 o'clock classes at the main campus in Pinehurst. And so we're really excited about this opportunity because it helps to streamline what it is that we're doing. Students would start their college classes at 9 o'clock and they would start their high school classes at 9 o'clock. If you've ever been with us in the morning, you might come in, and if you're not familiar with the culture of the building, you'll see kids sitting in the hallway or in the multi-purpose room, like, why aren't they going to class? That's because there's a gap between our schedules, and so we're looking to at least be able to streamline our start schedule. We're gonna have to stay with the 4 o'clock schedule in response to some parent feedback and some student feedback, which was geared towards their participation with Hope County High School athletics. Right now, our students catch a bus from Stand Hope Early College after school over to Hope County High School for their practices, for their games. And if we were to have extended our day, which was an option that we discussed last year, that would have meant that they would spend less time in class when they have to leave early for their games and, well, not for their practices, but for their games. And so it allowed us to still have that same access for our students to athletics, which is something that we're very grateful for. We take a bus full of students to Hoke High every afternoon who participate in athletics, so it doesn't impact them negatively with their instruction, nor will it prevent their participation, which was a major point of concern from parents. We are really looking to streamline some of what we do with the positive practices of other early colleges. We're really excited and we're very proud of the things that we're able to accomplish at Stand Hope. And we believe that this will just put us, I think we talked a little bit about modernizing some of the policies that we're doing here in Hope County. And this allows us to align with that as well. And of course, our staff, they're excited about that opportunity. They have extremely long days, but I got to Stand Hope. School started at 8 o'clock and school ended at 4 o'clock. We had very long class periods, and there were multiple legitimate reasons for making those changes over the years. Well, many of those things are no longer relevant for us because the things have changed before I got there, right? Just some adjustment with enrollment numbers, with crowding in the hallways and things like that. It's crowded, right? Our building is too small. We ask every year for more space from Sand Hills Community College, and they are working on putting new buildings on the campus. And so we're excited about finding some additional space there. But we are not faced with some of those challenges because we're not maximizing the 125 student per grade that could be maximized just because we don't have the facilities to support that. So we're excited about kind of shifting what it is that we're doing, really exploring the instructional quality versus quantity, right? We don't need 150 minutes in class. We can streamline some of the fluff, be able to focus instructionally, make sure that what it is that we're doing is making good use of that time, and really supporting our students with having a productive day, as well as supporting needs for our families and for our staff. Do you have any questions for me?
I do.
Yes.
You said you're not maximizing 125 students annually. So what are you doing?
How many are we?
Students are you enrolling?
So yes, so last year we weren't that far off from that number. We had 113 students
Okay.
that we enrolled. We're not going below 100.
Okay.
Our minimum is right around 110.
Okay.
And really, so the state of North Carolina, that statute says that you can have no more than 500 students in your early college. If you have a strong fifth year student contingency, then you could do 100 if that's what you're doing. But
Normally 4 years.
yes, most of our students are going to finish in 4 years, though we are encouraging students to take advantage of that fifth year opportunity.
How do y'all do y'all feedback, the surveys?
Yes, ma'am. We conducted that survey last year after presenting some ideas. And so the feedback from the parents, one, student access to athletics at Hoke High. There was a concern if we got out of school later that students would get home later, and they were already concerned with that. But working with transportation, we really looked at the opportunity to close that gap because we'd be on our own tier. And so students would be leaving school at 4:30, but getting home sooner because we weren't waiting for buses to come pick up our students. We currently, our last bus is there about 4:45, 4:50. And so we've worked with transportation even in ways to get our students off campus and on their way home much sooner than what we're doing right now, just by some scheduling adjustments. Yes.
So Lisa will be for the change if this sort of goes through, registering students for 9:30 classes or?
It'd be 9 o'clock,
9
and
o'clock?
it would not change anything on their end. It just eliminates that gap of time on our end. So
Okay,
their classes would start at 9 o'clock.
as it do now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am. And now we would be starting at 9 o'clock.
okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So my question is, have you established a period, a time, a month to where you're going to come back and reassess to make sure that, because transportation is a big deal,
Yes, sir.
that the plan is working according to what y'all talked about?
We can, so, and I wanna be clear, are you asking before we implement this, are we gonna make sure that our plan is?
No,
is
I'm
more
asking
effective?
that once the plan is implemented, we're gonna come back and revisit to make sure that, okay, the plan is working.
If that's what you desire, then we can definitely accommodate that for sure. If
Think
it's
a
not
good
working,
idea.
if it's not working, of course, we're gonna seek different ways to adjust that. But we also have everybody at the table to try to
Right.
make sure that we're problem solving along the way as opposed to waiting for it to go poorly. But we'll have Mr. Heath come on up, because the biggest piece of this working for us will be transportation. So, do you have any specific
No,
transportation questions?
again, not even a concern, but just the fact that, we should have a plan to the plan.
Yes, sir.
We're gonna implement a plan, and we're gonna come back later on to make sure that the plan is working the way we thought it was gonna work.
Yes, sir.
That's all I'm just asking. Do we have that in place to where we're gonna come back and verify? Because, a plan, can always be implemented and it might not work the way we thought about it. So I just wanna make sure that we know that we're gonna come back and revisit and say, hey, our plan is working.
Yes, sir. No problem.
Would this be the wishes of the board, for us to get a brief back later on, maybe next school year or something, to where, hey, the plan worked?
Cause it's not gonna start until.
Next school year.
Yeah,
next
so.
school year.
In August.
Yes.
Yeah.
And y'all
Yeah.
do that.
Okay.
So we're using yellow buses to transport the students, and just to touch on that topic there, currently just a breakdown of how our early college routes are set up. Of course, those students ride separately on their own bus. However, because of the times, the start and end times of the school day, they conflict with other bell schedules. So right now, our morning tier is conflicting with our elementary bell schedules, and our afternoon tier is conflicting with our high school and middle school bell schedules. So looking forward to next school year, we will have them aligned on their own tier. And the way that we'll structure that is we'll have each bus with their own elementary route. So those buses will arrive to the campus on time because they're not going to the high school or to another middle school before heading to the early college. And in the morning time, what we're looking at doing is just having those students, like Mrs. Neal said, picked up in the community and taking up to Sand Hills Community College. And those students will also arrive on their regular buses to her campus in the morning time by 9 o'clock, or prior to that, for their party bus schedule. But we'll definitely look at revisiting it afterwards just to make sure everything is going on. We have multiple conversations throughout the year just to see how things are going, to touch on what we can approve or improve on for their arrival and dismissal.
Thank you.
So
Any
you
more
better
questions?
have like a route.
Yeah, they'll have a route.
That's kind of good.
Alright. Any more questions? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, can I get somebody to read the paragraph of the closed session?
I make a motion that we go into closed session under North Carolina General Statute 143-318-11A, 1, 3, and 6 to prevent the disclosure of confidential personnel and student matters, to consider matters relating to the initial employment of individuals, employees, and to consult with the board's attorney to preserve the attorney-client privilege.
Second.
All right, those in favor? Aye. All right, we'll take a 5-minute break.